All right. Hello, everybody. If you can go ahead and give me a thumbs up or just some kind of confirmation that you can hear me, I'll go ahead and get started with the editing. I'm sharing my screen with you so you can actually see things from my perspective at the moment. As always, there's going to be a little bit of a delay here. It's good to see you all, I guess. I'm actually pretty excited about this. I've never done a live editing session before, so I think it's going to be pretty interesting. But I'll give you guys some exclusive sneak peeks. It should be fun. Also, I do just want to give a shout out to my active Discord members, in particular Jack Bauer and Sniker Piker. They're doing a lot, and Spotlight, can't forget that. There's a lot of cool things happening there with developing the lore, making art, and just expanding the universe. And there's a lot of other members who I have failed to mention, but I know that Jack and Sniker especially have put in quite a bit of time developing the universe with me, so I really appreciate their efforts there. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started here. Right now I'm in Hitfilm Express, and before I get started, I'm just going to take a look and see if there's anything in the chat I should respond to. Hello, nice glasses. Hey, Arrow, I'm doing well. Hey, Buried Hatchet, it's good to see you, man. I love seeing your stuff on Instagram and YouTube. Buried Hatchet does a lot of really cool horror stuff. You should check him out on YouTube if you haven't. All right, so like I said, this is Hitfilm Express, and it's actually a free editing software that I use, but you can purchase a lot of add-ons to it. So it's really nice if you're filmmaking on a budget. So I've actually pretty much finished shooting scene 1 and scene 2 of this movie, which is pretty good. I feel pretty good about that progress. So scene 1 is, there we go, this just pretty epic battle sequence that really kicks things off in kind of an intense way, and I'll reveal that as kind of a teaser for the whole movie at some point. But scene 2 takes place in a hospital, but this is still part of scene 1 technically. So what I want to do here is I've created this establishing shot, and what that is, if you're into filmmaking, you'll have heard that term. An establishing shot is just a shot that kind of shows the set at large. It shows the location of the characters. And after this, I go into a bunch of close-ups and medium shots of the characters. But the establishing shot is really useful in film for just giving you a sense of, okay, here's this kind of, you could say, an expensive shot that has a lot in it. But after that, you can focus all your shots much closer up, but everybody has seen where it takes place, so they know where it's going on. All right, but let's actually get to the editing here. And I've realized I have this zooming in slightly. I edited it a little bit in another program, so I'm actually going to import the original file. And the thing about editing an entire movie, it's pretty nuts. You have to be really on top of things with organization. I'm not a naturally organized person, but here I have my Void War master file, my scenes, and this is, I need scene 1, and I have the Dragon Frame files, which is all the pictures, and then the footage. Open up the footage, and this is going to be shot, it's going to be a later one. Not that. There we go. Here's the original file. See, and that didn't take too long to find. So I open this up, and then it's a little bit too zoomed in, so I'll adjust the scale. I'll scale it way down until it's where it should be. 47 perhaps, 48. All right, and then I make a composite shot. And so compositing it allows me to create a bunch of layers on it and change stuff up. So I'll create a new layer So I have my original movie layer, now I have this new layer that there's nothing on this layer so far, but I'm going to add some special effects. So one thing we've got here, this takes place, in the distant future, and this particular battalion is called the Vissian 9th, and they are members of, I know Sniker and Jack are going to get excited about this, although I guess Jack already knows. The Vissian 9th, they fight for what's called the Unum Vires, which is the Fists of Keo. This little symbol here, this banner, is their kind of holy symbol for the god that they worship. This is the Eye of Keo. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on the whole belief system and what Keo is, but it's going to be a big deal in this movie. It's a very religiously driven military. And this thing is called a piercer. It's basically a giant tank, and it's got a mechanic working on it. So, all right, I'm going to see some questions. Thanks so much. Your stuff. Oh, thank you all so much for your compliments. I really appreciate it. Is that an Exoforce head? Yep, I have a few of those. What does the Eye of Keo represent? That's a great question. So I'll address that before editing more. So the Eye of Keo, it's obviously shaped like an eye, but there's actually, if you see, there's a letter K here. So I'm not going to rotate this at the moment. Well, actually, I may as well. Oh, no, I'm not. But then the idea is that these beams, the one that goes up in particular, represents the beam of Keo. And Keo was actually kind of this, again, not going to go into too much detail, is responsible for the beamer technology they use. So in this movie, again, distant future, they use lasers to fight the slag, and it's very effective, as well as something called a piercer. And in a way that will later be revealed, Keo is directly responsible for this beamer technology. Just here's a little sneak peek for you.
Guide us. Courage.
So lasers, that beamer technology is a big thing that helped humans fight back. So Keo is worshipped with the symbol in there. All right, so now I need some special effects. Oh, Johan! Well, look at that. My little bro Johan, the composer of the soundtrack, is here. Oh, that makes me happy. Okay, so there's a couple of guys here that you can see. They're wielding flamethrowers. They've killed a bunch of slag beasts, and the remnants are still in the battlefield and potentially hazardous. So they are burner squads, and they melt them down with fire. So I use footagecrate.com. It's $50 for, I think, a forever subscription, basically. Torch flames, that's what we want. And they have tons of these just fantastic overlays, tons of special effects. And I want to find a good one for a flamethrower. There's a lot of different options. Also, if you're considering purchasing a Footage Crate subscription, if you use my link in the description, you can get it through my name and kick me back a little bit of commission money. So that's always appreciated. All right. So there's a lot of options here. I kind of like this one. So I just click the download button. But I want one more just in case that one doesn't quite cut it. This one is a bit more intense, so I'm gonna grab that. All right, so now I just simply click and drag into my media pool. I've got this flamethrower, and I'm gonna click and drag, and now you can see it's here as this layer. See if that's okay. That's not too bad. But of course, I've got to get rid of the black, so I use an effect called demult. That gets rid of that. So easy, a baby could do it. Oops. And then zoom in here. All right, and that flame still looks a little bit oversized. Okay, it's not looking too bad though. All right, but see that there's a problem. It stops suddenly, and I would just want him to, turn it off kind of naturally. I don't want it to just like, it's not like in real life the flames don't just disappear on you like that. So what I'm going to do is a little bit of movie magic here. Okay. So if I was a little bit more patient, I would probably watch a bunch of videos of flamethrowers to see how they act. But first, another important thing, this is one of those things that really separates, this is, I guess, me kind of tooting my own horn, but slightly more professional filmmaker over a more novice one, is you see how this character here, this burner guy, is a little bit blurry? It would look, you might not even realize why, but it would look hokey if the flames are in perfect focus and he's blurry. So I'm actually going to throw some blur on the flame itself. I don't want to make it like way too blurry, that would not be good, but a little bit of blur is what we want there. That looks like about the right amount. Don't want to overdo it. Okay, so now this is an incredibly important concept in animation of any kind, and special effects is in a large part animation. Keyframes. So what a keyframe is it's basically saying this figure, this shot, is going to be this size, in this position, and in this rotation at this second mark. And then I could go ahead 4 seconds or whatever it might be, 4 frames, and at this frame the shot is going to be smaller, it's going to be in this position, and it's going to look be this color or whatever. And then between the keyframes, the whatever it is, the subject will shift naturally. So here I'm clicking these buttons here to create keyframes. There's no keyframes now, it would just stick the same. So I want the scale to be there, the opacity, the position, because I'm going to move it, because you see he kind of moves his gun a little bit there. I'm going to actually also create a keyframe for rotation. And now, as I'm having him move it, it's automatically creating keyframes so that the flames move. Alright. By the way, I'll be checking. I wish I had some kind of... There's no way for me to see if there's anything important going on in the chat unless I click away from this, but I will be checking on that momentarily. If you have any burning questions, feel free to ask them. Alright, so now I've got it moving with his gun, but I also want it, once it's up there, to be way more transparent because he stopped pulling the trigger, and it's going to be a bit smaller. Actually, what I'm probably going to do is have it turn off completely and then add a new smaller burner, because usually flamethrowers have some kind of small flame emitting from them even when they're not fully flaring. So actually, thinking about the way flames behave, they actually usually they expand, they don't contract, so that looks silly. So I'm changing some things up. But I mean, that's, animation is really a trial and error process. That already looks way better. The flames just kind of expand and dissipate. And so I'm not going to get through all of this in this video, but I'm going to create another, special effect of the slag here on fire in multiple parts. There's going to be smoke emitting from it. This is going to be a really effects-heavy establishing shot. This guy over here is also going to have a flamethrower. This mechanic here is going to be welding the turret back on. And then there's going to be a little scan thing happening over here. Alright, so let's just I'm going to watch a quick playthrough of that, and then I'm going to, okay, that looks pretty good. Let's see if there's anything in the chat before I get some more special effects. Will the TLZA soundtrack be put on Spotify? That's a good idea. It is available for purchase on the Twisted Bricks website, and it is also available on my Patreon. But maybe I'll put it on Spotify. Johan, we can discuss that. Johan, you have some seriously great music work. Yes, he does. Is it hard for you to do stop motion with clay? Oh yeah, inverted pizza footage crate is excellent. Stop motion with clay it's kind of hard, but it's really fun. It's challenging because there's a lot more to it. You're not just rotating an arm and a hand. So I had to learn how does a snake move? How does a tentacle move? What is the muscle movement? But I find it very fun, although challenging. Do you plan in the future to celebrate the anniversary of TLZA? Yeah, I like looking for reasons to celebrate, so I don't see why not. What's your inspiration to do Lego stop motion? Honestly, just watching YouTube videos of Lego animations when I was a kid. It's hard to pin it down to just one. There's so many that were just unreal. Blew my mind away. It's time to promote your minifigs. Yeah, guys. If you want to, first off, if you haven't checked out the Twisted Bricks website, hit us up. There's some image galleries, and that's all fine and dandy. Oh, and here's a link for footagecrate.com, stories of survival, fan art, the official Twisted Bricks wiki. I don't have locations or objects fulfilled yet, but plenty of characters with a lot of special info that you don't get in the movies. And of course, there's the merchandise. You can get the original collectible figures. Joe has already been sold, and they are a little pricey, but they are the original figures used in the series. So all the others except for Joe are still available. So, if you're interested, just email Christian@twistedbricks.com. Otherwise, you can visit my store, and there's some cool stuff there. But I'll get off my soapbox now and continue editing in case you're, that's why you're here. All right. Where do you get stock footage? Stock footage, a lot of it comes from Footage Crate, but otherwise I don't use, yeah, I guess that's really the answer there. Footage Crate. Okay, so I want the Ghostly Flame Wisp looks pretty good. Afterburner, that's it. So flamethrowers, after they shoot, they do their little bursts. They still have a little bit of a flame on there. So I'm going to create a new layer. And this, I'm actually excited about this because this is going to be, I'm going to show you something that's just so important to animation that it'll change your life when you can figure it out. What's this? Oh yeah. So I am going to track the movement of his gun. This isn't really necessary because his gun barely moves, but it's still a good way to show you an effect. So under the main movie file, there's a track option. This will be different for different programs, but this is how you do it in Hitfilm Express. And when I click on it, I get these little squares. I'm going to make that a lot bigger. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to bring them down. So what tracking does is it analyzes whatever you kind of choose, and you pick a point. Yeah, that's where I'm going to choose. And then you press a play button after adjusting some settings. And again, his gun barely moves here, but watch what the tracker does when he moves his... Okay, that didn't work at all. Let's try that again. Why didn't that work? Okay. So I suspect maybe it's a little bit too blurry. But we're going to try one more time. template match. To be honest, I don't know what all these settings mean. I haven't really done the deep dive research. There we go. Okay, so you see it moved up with it, although it didn't do it very effectively. But you can always adjust it after doing it. But usually if you have a good shot where your subject is in focus, and it's also, I mean, this one is so blurry and it's so small in the screen, it's just kind of sad. But usually tracking is a super important and useful tool. So maybe this is a good time in the chat. I'm curious, you know, this is something new I have not done before. What other kind of content would you like to see from me that I don't typically do, or maybe I don't do that often? I'm really, you know, I aim to please, and I want to show you guys stuff that you actually want to see. So whether it's lore on YouTube or on the Discord, let me know. Oops. Alright, so now I'm adding my afterburner flame. This is going to be a little flame that's just shooting out of the flamethrower consistently. So again, I need my demult effect. And I can't forget to throw the blur in there. I want that. So I'm just going to copy and paste it from my old effect. Alright, subtle, but good to have. And then I'm going to copy the tracking points from my tracking thing, and I'm going to paste it in the position. Okay. Actually, this is maybe a little bit complicated, but I'm going to create a point instead, because the position wasn't quite where the flame, you know, should be relative to it, but the movement is right. So then if I take my flame and I attribute it to the point, it will follow its position. However, let's see if this works. Yeah, baby. Okay. Now I just need to adjust. You see it, he kind of rotates his gun upwards. So, 2, 3, I go to the last one, and I adjust it ever so slightly. Okay. So, let's take a little look, see what we think. So I'm going to click this button to pre-render it. This doesn't create a video file or anything, it just creates a preview basically that I can watch without it being all laggy. Alright, so I think, you know, I don't know how many pixels you're getting on your screen right now, but it looks pretty darn good from my perspective. After that stops, he still has the flame going. And then I'm going to have him pump out the flame one more time after that. So that shows you a little bit. The rest of that will be a bit tedious. Let me hit up the YouTube and see what y'all are saying. Okay. Can I make a video on how to make the minifigures from the series? I know what pieces are needed. Alright, Leland, I think you're asking if you can make that. If you want, you absolutely can do that. I would love that. You know what, that's the thing. If you're asking me to do it, I can do that too. I just don't know if you had a typo there. I really want this universe to be fan expanded. You know, I want you guys to have a big part in making it. So whenever you want to make something that's like connected to the story, I fully encourage it. If you're not sure if it'll fit with the lore, and if you want it to be canon, you know, it's always good to double check with me. But I'm not opposed to making fan-made content canon for the series, because I alone can't make this the universe I want it to be. Can you make a video about A Quiet Place? Good movie. Maybe years from now when I am done with this. What laptop are you using? I'm using a MacBook Pro. I've been using Macs, you know, for a long time. It's the Intel Core i9, 16 gigs of memory. And it's got 1 terabyte of space on it. So it's a pretty high-end Mac, like $3,000 or something. But I knew I'd be needing it for all the heavy video editing. Hello Christian, I've been watching you for a long time and I love TLZA. You may remember me from a few other streams also. You are a huge inspiration to me. Oh, well thank you so much, Tim. This is cool. Oh, Yellow Ranger. That's, of course, I always point out the voice of Slade as well as a whole bunch of other characters, so it's good to see you, Matt. I think, I'm going to definitely try to do this more. I got time this summer, so why not? Oh, Sniker knows your name. Does your girlfriend voice anything in the series? So, Kylie did voice the little girl in episode 5 of season 2. It's like, Daddy, Daddy. And she is interested in voicing more. So I'm going to find some things for her. She's very, very good at voices, but she hasn't done much voice acting. It's usually just spontaneous, silly voices. So, interviews with your voice actors. That would be cool, yeah. Chris and Mike, Matt. I definitely think that would be cool. I've wanted to do kind of a live stream with them present, but I've just been so poor at getting that arranged. But that would be a lot of fun. Maybe we can do a little just chat about what it was like and about their characters, and then random questions. Okay, reacting to other stop motion YouTubers' videos. It's not a bad idea. That could be interesting. Maybe I'll give that a try. Behind the scenes, lore reviews. Yeah, Jack and Sniker, they could do some lore reviews. That would actually be pretty cool. I'm going to make some notes, guys. So we want lore, voice actor, behind the scenes. I know Johan is also he's talked about doing more with discussing his composing process. He just has this incredible process where he comes up with these themes for characters and he weaves them together. I think that would be very cool. How come you shortened the amount of time for the Stories of Survival 2? Oh, I didn't shorten it. The previous deadline was July 11th, and I extended it to July 31st. So, oh, and I see Sniker already addressed that. Chronicles of Odinshage. Yeah, so another cool thing Sniker and Jack are working on, and Spotlight, I believe, is the village of the chief, where everybody went in season 2, is called Odinshage, and those guys are working on basically stories of the villagers there, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll share that on the website and on YouTube. Christian, good to see you. CAD Productions. I'm glad you could make it, man. I wish I saw you more on the Discord server, but I am always just pleased to see you when I can. Lore. Okay, people are thirsty for lore. Duly noted. CAD, you did a live stream? I didn't know about that. What do you think of CAD Productions in Easterwood? I absolutely love them. I think, that's why I asked them if they'd be willing to partner with me, is because I just see so much potential in their work. Just really creative guys. So subscribe to them if you have not already. Oh, Sniker, yeah, the little girl who my girlfriend voiced is Sunniva Nilsson. This is where it's helpful to have more than one person. The content cannot be all contained in my brain. I just read Yellow Ranger's comment. I can confirm, Jack, Matt is a beautiful man. All right, so I am going to continue editing for, as long as you guys, or not as long as you guys want to stay, but at least another 15 minutes. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to show you how I edited some previous clips. Instead of doing the tedious process as I work through, this will be a little bit more exciting because you can kind of see how things unfolded. I know which one I'm going to show you. There we go. Okay. Is this it? No. Okay. So, there are these slag creatures in Gray Horizon called floaters. There's a lot of different forms you've heard of. Well, maybe you're not familiar with the lore. There's runners, and they're, any slag that basically uses legs to move around. They don't always like run per se, but they can usually move faster than most others. I think there's one called crawlers. That's more like snakes and stuff. But then there's also floaters. That's these guys, and they, they're not as fast as runners, but they're very psychically potent. So if enough of them get close to you, they, can honestly mess with your mind and potentially even infect you without even touching you. But that's only if they're, in a heavy concentration. They're really horrifying. They have a lot of eyes, and of course they will just suck you right into their mouth if they can get their hands on you. So to create floaters, I basically have this little stand for them, and he's connected with Legos just kind of stuffed inside of him. And then I took brick stuff lights and I wedged them into these holes that I poked into him. And then I put orange studs and stuff on top so that it was like glowing orange eyes. That's not special effects, it's actual lights inside of the floater, which was quite a process. I've just created the one, but of course with the movie I'm able to make it look like there's a bunch. Alright, so here's a shot where a floater gets shot to pieces. Look at the left here, there are so many layers to this. I'm just going to work through them one by one. So at the top I have the lasers. Let's get to one of those. Okay, so you see that? It's just and I'm pretty satisfied with how it looks, but it's just this neon light effect that I created. And it was really tricky to make it, from a point of view perspective with the lasers, because it looks weird. It's not just like you can make a straight line across. So it basically is really big at first and kind of in your face with right there. Well, not so much. But then it gets smaller and slightly higher up and to the right until it eventually fades into the distance. And it's not perfect, but it's just a split second. It looks pretty good. Then there's this upper mist layer. This is the very top. It's very faint. There it's off. There it's on. It's just this thin veil on top of everything. Then below that is my first floater. And this is one that was animated separately as he was, of course, destroyed. And then there's another layer of mist. So this is, if you want to think about it this way, this layer of mist is between him and the floaters behind him. So it creates this feeling of depth where you really feel like this floater is like right on top of you, and they're coming, they're in the distance, they're looming. So then behind that second layer of mist, I have floater number 2 and floater number 3. But you might have noticed that floater number 3 seems farther away. And that's because, again, to create depth, I made him smaller, and I actually made him more blurry. So both of these background floaters have a blur effect on them. And even, I think, okay, maybe he doesn't. On another clip, I have this floater start off blurry, but then come into focus. That's stuff that would happen naturally with live footage, but with editing, you have to do it yourself. And it's often stuff you don't think about. All right, so just a couple more layers. All right, I'm not sure. That must have been more lasers or something. Okay, so you see when I click on that, there's this background shot that I used. It is just, the Lego battlefield, but of course it would look silly if he was in focus up here and that was blurry back there, so I just added a blur layer over that. I added a heavier mist layer that's behind all the slag so that, this makes it's very convincing. You don't see what's in the background or that it's just a photography sheet. The mist kind of obscures that. Any other layers? There's that one. And I think that, and then of course there's the background itself. So you see how many layers really go into creating a shot like this. It might seem like a lot of work, but I really, really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's one of those, what do you call it? The learning curve, where it starts to be a lot more fun once you figure out your crap. Like, until then, it can be really frustrating. All right. More to come. All right, Christian, I'm going to stay tuned for more streaming. Easterwood and CAD Productions are both my partner channels, Leyland. They create a lot of their own stuff, but now and then they create a video for me, and they get the lion's share of the revenue on that. So it's kind of a win-win. How many entries have gotten for Stories of Survival 2? To be honest, I'm not sure. I've gotten a lot of art and minifig/build entries so far, but I'm still waiting for animations. I think I've gotten a couple, but of course I realize those take a lot more time to make, so I'm not too worried. Love you too, Matt, although I'm sad that he missed me saying that. Look like water mine. Oh, water mines, yeah, they do. Is it true that there was an old zombie video even older than the first zombie episode you deleted? Yeah, there is. I don't know how you know about that, Leland, but there isn't. I gotta upload that, actually. That would be really interesting. It's so bad and so simple, but I'm not sure if it's on my YouTube channel anymore. Captain Kilroy, yes, the deadline is now July 31st. I have announced that on my Discord server, but I don't know if I've announced on YouTube yet. If you want to become a partner channel, just email me, like christian@twistedbricks.com, or just let me know through YouTube. I'm always looking for partners, or even people who want to do like Twisted Bricks spin-offs. But I am picky, I'm not gonna just, if you're interested, I'm not just gonna let you in. You have to prove that you are a talented and dedicated animator, but I'm always looking for partners. All right, I think I'm going to go over one more editing sequence, and then I'm going to call it a day. I need to get to my house and do some animation. So let's see, what is a good one? Here we go. All right, so this is some animating and some practical effects. This is a runner that comes into view, and it's looking really laggy right now, so you'll have to apologize. But he gets hit and just pieces just fly off of him. So how do I do that? Again, I've got the laser that starts off right in the point of view, and it just grazes him. And you can see he actually has this hole that develops, and then it bursts open. Another interesting thing I've done is the lasers and everything, all the special effects are at 30 frames per second. The whole project is at 30 frames per second, but the Legos themselves are animated at 15 frames per second. So if in this one, you can see the laser moves before he has even moved. And I think in some ways it makes the lasers seem like they're moving faster, or they're non-organic. I think it kind of works, but so he gets pierced through, and I created, is it this one? Yes. I created a mask. Masks are another incredibly important part of editing. You can see, basically I click, and then I adjust it so that it says this area will not have the effect over it. If I turn that off, it's just laser on top of him, and that doesn't look very good because it's supposed to be going through this hole. So a little bit of masking is really important now and then. And then I've got this slag blood spurting out, or it's like, that's not really blood, it's just more like flesh. But it looks pretty good, so how did I do that? Well, much simpler than you might think, maybe. I'm going to turn off all the effects to it. So this is what it looks like originally. And it's a blood effect. It's supposed to be like a blood spurt. And I think I've affected the saturation. Maybe not. So it looks a little bit red. So what I did was, of course, first I have to adjust it so that the green screen is keyed out. You call that keying, K-E-Y. And then there's a few other little effects that make it a little bit neater. But then I adjusted the hue and the saturation and lightness to make it more gray. It's very subtle, but I have to be a little bit better with that. In another one, okay. All this stuff is happening, and I basically repeat that every time. Laser goes through, a little bit of masking, and then some blood splatter. And then here is Hux. Hux is our hero. He is the main character, I would say, and he's a very young, or not that young, he's in his like early 20s, a soldier of the Unum Vires, and he is an interesting character. Those laser blasts, it's not special effects, literally, it's just I was animating, and then in the first frame, I turn on my cell phone flash, my cell phone light bulb, whatever, and I hold it right up to him so that it looks like a bright light is flashing. And then in the next frame, I turn it off and give him a little bit of kickback. Alright, so in this, okay, there we go. So there's a great shot where this slag gets just destroyed in the eyeball. Laser comes in. Alright, so there you can already see the blood start to spurt, but it's not like, I turned the opacity way down, down to 20%. If it was at 100%, it would look like this, and I don't want that. I want it to look like the laser is kind of going through it at the moment, so I make it semi-transparent. And then, of course, I've got a, let's see, that's not it. Where are you at? I've got a mask going. You can see so that it looks like the laser is entering the flesh. And then the mask changes. And again, that's done with the magic of keyframes. From there, and then I wanted the laser to be coming out this end, so there it is. And then the blood kind of still splatters. I left it a little translucent because, I mean, it's kind of this weird fluid, so it made sense that it could be a little translucent. But then it just fades into the distance. So, to give you guys a little treat, now that you've watched some editing, I'm going to show you, if I can find it, but I'm so organized, of course I can find it, a little bit of the movie. It's not going to be much, it's just going to be a little bit of what I have just shown you. So here, and I'm animating this in a more cinematic style, with the aspect ratio. So it's not more boxy; it's a little bit thinner. All right, here you go.
Eternal Kyo, we call upon you in these dark hours. Us courage, that we may embrace our mortality fearlessly.
Alright, that's all I can show you, and it's still not done. It hasn't even been graded. I haven't adjusted the colors at all or the light. It's just some special effect work that's been done. One more thing I will point out is that you see these slag kind of floating up and down very slowly. That was created very simply by a camera shake effect. And then I just adjust the shake movement so that it's very slow, and then it looks like they're floating. So that's something I've used with water effects and all sorts of other stuff. All right, is the one speak? Yes, Sniker. The character speaking is Sniker, is Harper, rather. Commander Harper is his name, and he is a badass. Legging Leland, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's one of my favorite animated shows of all time. I also loved Korra, just big fan. Let's see. Is there going to be a season 3? And I will enter, but I need to get clay. yeah, plastilina, gray modeling clay is the way to go. The Void War is basically, Gray Horizons is season 3. I think that's the best way I can really put that. Sniker, I'll check out the Discord server. Splatter, those close-up really give you. Yeah, thank you, Bomb Ninja. I want the creepy vibe. I want this movie to freak you out a little bit. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate that. And yeah, B&B, it takes time. It takes time. But Salty Pringle Chip, good to see you, man. Haven't seen you for a while, Cameron. Let's see. All right. This is awesome. Thanks, MTB Shorts. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. That's all I'm gonna do today. Like I said, I gotta get home. Gotta start. This summer is going by too fast. I gotta animate every spare minute I have. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and join the Discord server. Let me know if you have questions, and I will be here. Take care, everyone.